Hi, Steve.
Hello.
So we are at Automechanica and we have got Steve Nash, who is our chair of the trustees, on the sofa talking to us about Ben and where we are, where we've been and where we're going. So we're going to ask you some questions. We're going to put you on the spot. So Ben has been through massive change in the last year and we're evolving and we're moving on. Can you tell us why and what journey we've been on and where we're going?
Yeah, I can definitely tell you why. When I took over as chair, there was already a growing realisation within the trustee board that the centre of gravity of Ben had moved. So people of my generation and older probably spontaneously associated Ben with care homes in particular. When you talk to people of the younger generation, a lot of those people actively, very much the bulk of people actively engaged in the industry today, they have a different view. They see Ben for what Ben largely is today, which is a health and wellbeing based charity. And it's a simple fact that despite having been in direct care delivery for 80 years, times move on and the number of automotive people in our care homes was dwindling. I mean, it was sort of 10% and going south. Yeah. So it was an appropriate decision. Not an easy decision, and not one we took lightly. But as a board, we looked very closely at our strategy going forward, the needs of the industry, and made the decision that it was appropriate to move on those care homes to people who could actually do at least as good or probably a better job than us, because that's what they do as their entire role, and they can realise the economies of scale and so on, and to focus on where the industry's demand is. We saw a massive spike in demand during the pandemic, but it's not gone backwards. I think in some ways, the pandemic helped to raise the realisation of what Ben is actually there for and capable of. And so we've just seen the demand going on and increasing. So it's very appropriate that that's where we focus our efforts. So
you spoke then about what the industry needs. What do you see as the industry's need?
Look, I mean, we all know that we've got broadly around 800,000 people in our industry. And look, times are tough. I mean, the motor industry is a bit of a boom and bust industry. I mean, having spent my entire life in it, I'm well aware that this is a tough time. I mean, there are forces at play in the industry at the moment which are different to those we've seen before, whether they're things like the zero emission vehicle mandate, but there are things that are sort of distorting the industry and pushing it in different directions. It's very difficult for people, particularly those at a non-strategic level in the industry, to understand where the direction of travel is and what it means for them. And it's pretty stressful. And life generally is. I mean, so it's not just automotive industry, but life is tough. And we see that manifest itself in the people who come to us. I think what we are always acutely aware of, though, is the people who don't come to us. Yeah. And the fact that, look, I was reliably informed quite some time ago, actually, that there are something like 48 trade bodies in our industry, which is a pretty good indication of how fractionalized the industry is. Yeah. So I think we have very good awareness in certain pockets of the industry. I think automotive retail, although, we can always do better, where we're always looking up the mountain, not backwards, aren't we? But I think that there are certain pockets of the industry and emerging ones. With the changes in the industry, there are people coming in who are very much part of our constituency who don't even know we exist. So there's a big job for us to do going forward. And, it's all about us helping our automotive family to be, to be their best selves. And that's better for everybody. It's the reason why everybody in the industry should support us, because that helps productivity. It helps people come to work in a better frame of mind and, avoid some of the tragedies that we see. I mean, we know that there are, and I hate to bring that up, but something like...
It's on the wall. 2 suicides a week.
2 suicides a week. I mean, that is horrendous, isn't it? And if we can just prevent, some of those, we've done an amazing job. But actually, wouldn't it be great if we could prevent them all?
All of them would be amazing.
And I'm sure we could if people knew where to come and how to get the right help. So
as someone
big
who's
job.
been in the industry for a long time and knows the industry inside and out, we have had lots of people talking to us about how important it is for businesses in the industry and the industry as a whole to get behind Ben. We've spoken a lot about we can't do this on our own. We have to get the industry behind us, and the industry has to lead on this and support us through this. We can provide solutions, but they have to get behind us. Can you tell us a bit more about that and how Ben plans to work more with partners in the industry?
Look, there are so many worthy causes out there. We all know that. We're all affected by things, be it critical illnesses and things like that within our family group. But a lot of those charities have the whole whatever it is, 60, 70 million people in the UK they can go after to look for support. We can't rattle tins on street corners. We're an industry-specific charity. So those 800,000 people in the industry need to be behind us, because if they're behind us, we can be behind them, whatever happens to them. And so that's why it's really important for the industry to recognise we're their charity, and we've been their charity for 120 years. And, for us to go on being their charity for the next 120 years, it's not something you can always leave to somebody else, and it's more than just envelopes on tables at industry dinners, although that's very important.
Very important.
Envelopes on tables or electronic, however people want to do it. We gratefully receive everything.
We'll do it anyway.
But when people engage in events to raise money for us and that sort of thing, I mean, it means the world, doesn't it? And the inventiveness of the industry is phenomenal. You and all of the other members of the team at Ben are always there to help and support that, aren't you? So, I just commit. I mean, look, for a large part of my automotive career, I was based just up the road from Ben. So, I was at BMW, we were in Bracknell, Ben was in Ascot. And, I from early on in my career, I saw people being helped by Ben. And it convinced me very much that Ben did a fantastic job. And, having seen what it did for those people who were in dire straits with health issues and things like that, you can't just leave it to everybody else. You've got to do your bit. It's why I'm doing this. It's why I became a trustee and I've been delighted to be chair for a while now.
We have spoken a lot around the ecosystem of the industry, and that it sometimes feels segmented, but it's partners acknowledging that they wouldn't exist without either side. So they wouldn't exist without the customers, especially those B2B businesses who are automotive, the suppliers who are also automotive. So if you could ask something of partners, what would it be? What would be your one ask to those partners in the industry that currently don't support Ben or don't do anything?
What I would say is, first of all, obviously, as we know only too well, that the help that we give is 100% confidential. Yeah. So we would never divulge to anybody that we're helping somebody who worked in their business. Having said that, we do know, we can say, we are helping X number of people within that business without divulging who they are or anything else. And we know, I mean, quite frankly, we know there's quite a lot of businesses who are getting indirectly an awful lot of help from us, who never give us any support themselves. And, I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong personally. I think that, we should call that out and say to those people, come on, that's a free ride.
Acknowledge the value.
Yeah, because what we're doing is we're helping those people who work for you to come and do a better and more sustainable job for you. And it's only fair that you give something back. I'd also say that, look, it is a very fragmented industry, and we know there are subsectors where we hardly have any recognition at all. but everybody has their own networks, and where people can reach out and help us, I mean, as we move forward imminently with the moving on of the care facilities, we're going to drop from, whatever it is, 500 and odd people down to about 60, 70 people. Well, it's very hard, as brilliant a job as you all do, it's very hard for 60 or 70 of you to get to 800,000 people. So we need people to be kind of bird dogs for us, don't we?
Most of those are support. Most of those staff will be in the support side of the charity, so that the kind of number out.
Exactly. I mean, the number of you who are outside outside and doing the communication is a limited number. So we need vocal supporters, and we need people to, wherever they're comfortable to do it, people to talk about the help that they've had, and to herald the great work that Ben does, because that will convince more people that that they should both be supporting us and to understand that we're there for them as and when they need us.
So what's next for Ben? Where are we off to?
What's next for Ben? Well, I mean, we've got we're putting in place a new 5-year strategy, which is audacious. I mean, it's about massively increasing our awareness and our reach. I applaud Rachel, you and everybody else in the team for signing up to such audacious targets, but we really need to do that. And I think by narrowing our focus, it really struck me when I first became a trustee, and even more so as chairman, just how much bandwidth the care side of things took up.
Yeah.
I mean, running care homes is a hugely onerous task.
Yeah.
There's never not something going on, you know what I mean? And look, it's been an incredibly worthy thing that we've done for 80 odd years, in that side of things. But narrowing our focus, I mean, narrowing doesn't sound like the right word, but, refocusing around the direct needs of the industry. And that doesn't mean for one nanosecond that we're going to abandon, our stance in looking after people who historically have worked in the industry and their direct dependents and so on. But, there's a big existing automotive family out there that need our help. And look, it's not going to get any easier. I mean, there are, if you went back a couple of years, there was, something like, it's not very long ago, there were around about 35 brands selling cars in the UK. I think it's 45 today.
Yeah.
It's projected to be 70 plus going forward, and the market's not getting any bigger. So there's loads and loads of new people coming in, and there's going to be some really, really tough competition, because we're struggling to get, the market pre-pandemic was sort of averaging about 2.4 million. We're struggling to get to 2 million now. So that works out at about 28,000 cars per brand at 70 brands. And that's not what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
I mean, it's way below what many of them do today, and not what the ambitions of the new entrants is. So, it's going to be pretty cut and thrust over the next few years, and that will have some tolls on the people in the industry. And I'm really glad that Ben is going to be there to help, and I could give a view, but I'd be just one of many people who has a view, and it might not be accurate about where the industry might be in 5-10 years' time. But what I know is the need for what Ben does will not change.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think that's the key thing, isn't it? We know that we only currently cover 20% of the industry. Only 20% of the industry are aware, and we're already seeing a huge demand for our services with only 20% aware. Once we increase that from 1 in 5 to 1 in 3, kind of estimate that the demand's going to grow equally, if not more, because
Massively,
we're raising awareness within that 20% that's current.
Yeah.
So
and it's a very necessary step for us to take. But at the same time, it's going to take support from the industry for us to sustain it.
Yeah.
And I see no reason why I could never understand why anybody wouldn't support Ben. I mean, as I said earlier on, there are loads and loads of worthy charities out there, and it's fine for people. I don't argue with people supporting those other charities, but this is our charity, and it does all that those other charities do and more for people who work in this industry. So, it's it's a really strong plea, really, to say to people, if you're not aware of what Ben does, make yourself aware. And talk to us. I mean, you and the rest of the outreach teams are there, aren't you? Ready, willing, and able to talk to anybody.
And we'll go anywhere.
And to tell them what they can do to support us. And it's not. I mean, mostly it's fun, isn't it? People do some great things that engage people. I mean, there are generational changes. I think, again, if you go back, a lot of the money. It's never been easy raising money. Let's be honest. I mean, we've had some tough times in the past. But a lot of the money used to come from sort of industry events where we put envelopes on the table and stuff like that. I think today's generation are more likely to engage with us through events and things
Doing
like that.
something.
I want to say events, I mean sort of activities.
Yeah.
We've just taken a cheque from Mark Field at the IAAF, haven't we, that was raised at a football match. And that's the sort of thing people can enjoy. So you can make that part of how you engage your people, and give them something, a sort of has great team building and culture building effects. But at the same time, you're doing good for them and the wider industry.
So our three goals for the next 5 years. Summarise 3 goals, 5 years. Where are we going to be?
Oh, well, I mean, if we achieve everything that we've set out to achieve, we'll have massively increased our reach. Our awareness will be 4 times what it is today. I mean, these are audacious goals, aren't they? And we'll see more people using Ben as their primary. As their primary charity for support. I mean, we all understand that businesses do a number of things as part of their corporate social responsibility policies, but Ben should be right in the middle of that.
And I think we've spoken a lot to other people on the sofa about partnerships, and it would be amiss of us to not acknowledge that there is some legal obligation and some mandatory obligations that businesses they have a responsibility to do, their corporate social responsibility for etc. And we provide a solution for that, so it makes sense for your business. We're already there,
and it's plug and play, isn't it? So you've got we've got loads of off the shelf ideas that people can and they're all positive things for your business. As I say, they're a great way of building the team, strengthening the culture, but actually discharging your corporate and legal responsibilities at the same time. So it's, what's not to like?
No brainer. Elephant in the room. How do we pay for all of this?
That's more of a woolly mammoth, actually. It through engagement. That's the only way it can happen. It's through more of everything we've been talking about. I mean, look, I'm at pains to point out that what we're. I've explained entirely the rationale for the strategic change that we've made. It's not a fire sale. We weren't doing it because we were completely on our uppers. But look, doing what we do costs money, as I've said before, our only source of income and sustainability is the industry that we serve. So, it's a two-way street. We'll do more, but the industry needs to do more to help us do more.
Yeah.
So, and look, big salute to the hugely strong supporters we do have, and people who get involved in Bangers for Ben and industry leader challenges and they're superstars, and actually it's interesting how engagement in those kind of things brings people closer. People who maybe are looking for a life challenge, and we all know that. I mean, I think I'm sure you're the same. My inbox is constantly full of people running a marathon or whatever. And I mean, look, being honest, they're running the marathon because they want to run the marathon. That's a sort of their own personal life challenge. But it's brilliant if you can. But if you're going to link it to anything, because that's a good way of engaging people, then link it to us. or or if at best, at least share the proceeds, with us and your other favorite charity or whatever. But it's a great way of people feeling better about giving something back to the industry that gives them a living. It's the reason I do what I do. I mean, I've been a trustee for 10 years or more. I think I'm sort of, it's unusual for me to have served the length of term I have as chairman, and there are reasons for that, because obviously with the changes we're going through, you don't need changes of chief executive and chairman and everything all going on at the same time. But look, I'm delighted to do what I do, and will always, regardless of what I do in the future, I will always be supporting Ben. And I hope other people view things the same way.
Steve, we are launching a new employer product, Ben Life. Can you tell us a bit more about it and why we're doing it?
Yeah, Ben Life is an interactive offer that any employee can engage with. So if the employer engages with us, they're given a complete health and wellbeing support online. Again, confidential. I know that a lot of employers will say, well, I've already got something like that. But this is not a place we've reached easily. We've been well aware that there are other people out there in the marketplace. And I believe the team have done a phenomenal job in finding the best possible solution for the industry, and a very, very cost-effective solution, which also, ticks the other boxes about supporting Ben, and making sure that people get, I think, support that only we can give, because we're of the industry for the industry. So we understand the nuances of the kind of challenges that people have in life in a way that I don't believe any other charity could do. So I'd really, really strongly commend employers to look at Ben Life as an offer. I know that Matt and the team will be falling over themselves to talk to people about it, but it's as I say, it's a solution designed, if you like, by the industry for the industry, and it's extremely cost effective. And so please, open your doors to the team and hear about, give us a hearing, and we'd be delighted to sign up as many people as we can possibly get. Perfect, and sits really nicely alongside any other EAP they've got and any other solutions they've already got in place. Exactly. It's not about having to switch off what you've got and go in a different direction, but I think over time people would migrate more and more towards Ben Life because of what it offers. Yeah. Perfect. Thank you, Steve. Thank you for your time. You're welcome. No problem.